I am officially Janasia Jones RN. RN. Hey guys, my name is Janasia, sometimes I go by J, and welcome to my channel. So I decided that I am finally going to be starting this nursing series that I've been wanting to start, and I'm going to call it Nurse Nasia. Now, Nasia comes from, it's just like a family like name, and I just feel like it goes good with the nurse, you know, Nurse Nasia, it just kind of meshes well. So that's what we'll call these videos, Nurse Nasia. Now to start, I'm going to tell you guys about my NCLEX experience. If you guys want to know about like my nursing school experience and all of that jazz, I have a couple videos I believe about like updates and everything that I went through about school, but if you want like a little more detail, just let me know. I'll do that, like, you know, what to expect or how I studied, things like that. I'll do that too. But this video today is going to just be about my NCLEX experience. Yes, I did take my NCLEX 2 times, and I failed the first one obviously, but that didn't stop nothing. I ended up passing my second time, and now I am an RN, and I'm going to be starting my job as a newly registered nurse. Let's start off with the first experience. So I graduated nursing school. For those of you that don't know, I went to an accelerated nursing program, so it was a lot, to say the least. A lot of work, a lot of studying, a lot of tests, a lot of ATI, and I hate to say this about my school, but my school was trash. It was so terrible. They were so unorganized. Some of my teachers were just so rude, or just not very helpful. But shout out to the ones that were, because there were some few gems there. But I left nursing school feeling like I should have known way more than what I did, and that kind of put a like a dent in my confidence. Kind of put a dent in my confidence when it comes to nursing knowledge and all that stuff. But I did what I had to do to pass, and I graduated, and I got, you know, my authorization to test for the NCLEX. And at the time, a lot of schools were graduating at that time, so there weren't many spots available to take the test right away. So I ended up having to wait like a month or so before I could actually take my test, and so I did that. And throughout that time, the resource that I used UWorld and Marquet, because that's what everybody was saying that they used to pass. And I was like, okay, well, if you guys are using that, then let me try it out. Maybe, you know, I can do the same. Now, okay, what I will say, Marquet, yes, perfect. Loved his lectures. The lectures were like 1 hour to 2 hours long, and there's 12 of them, and I only listened to each of them 1 time, but I did take notes on them, and I just feel like the way Mark K explained things helped me understand a little bit more, and helped me get, like, I guess more of a good base of knowledge of what was going to be on the exam. But like I said, I did only listen to them once each, and I took notes on them. I did go back and look at those notes a few times, but I wasn't I wasn't really studying like I feel like I should have. And then I had UWorld, and UWorld was very expensive, you know, for a nursing student who, you know, just paid for all the testing and the fingerprinting and blah 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 blah. But you know, you do what you gotta do. So I paid for UWorld, and UWorld, okay, the rationales were great. I just feel like UWorld was very wordy, and the NCLEX was very much condensed, and it was the NCLEX is more not vague. The NCLEX is very much like, this is what it is, what is the answer. It's very straightforward. It's not like UWorld where they have all these extra explanations or wordings and blah 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 blah. So I feel like that didn't help me a lot. Some people say that it did help them, because since UWorld was so extra and UWorld was so, and that the NCLEX was kind of, you know, short of that, that it helped them because UWorld was more UWorld was just extra. UWorld was just more, so it helped them in the NCLEX because I guess they figured they understood a little more. That did not help me, I feel like. What I will say is, when I started UWorld, I did write down rationales for the things that I did not know, but as time went on, I kind of was just doing the practice questions, going through the motions, and I read the rationales, but I feel like, looking back on it, I really wasn't understanding or getting the information locked into my head. So I didn't use the resource as best as I could have. I didn't use any of my resources the best as I could have, I feel like. And I feel like that's partially, you know, why I didn't pass the first time. And another major, I think this is the main reason why I didn't pass the first time, my mental state. Okay, when you go into the NCLEX, you have to really be mentally prepared for it. If you're not mentally prepared, you're not gonna do well, regardless of if you feel like you know the information or anything. Because I felt like I knew a good amount of information, but I felt like my test anxiety got the best of me. Mind you, I did like all of the questions on UWorld. I was doing the what are they called, like assessments. I wasn't doing terrible. I think, I forgot what my percentage was, but I was like on the baseline. And so a lot of people that I know, you know, they did not do all of the UWorld questions, and some people that I knew, they were doing terrible on the UWorld questions and then went on to pass their NCLEX on the first time, or they were getting borderline and they went on to pass on the first time, or they only did like 3 days of practice questions and went on to pass on their first time. So I was just thinking, like, you know what, like, if they did it, I can do it, you know. But everybody's experience is different, and you are not that person. So whether this person did 3 days or this person studied for 3 months, like, you have to do what works for you. And so UWorld did not work for me. And I failed my test. And so let me explain what happened the day of. So my test exam was at like 8 in the morning or something. So I feel like I did not really rest well that day prior because I was just so nervous. I had woke up that day. I was like listening to this 1 hour like NCLEX prep before going in. I was super nervous, just anxious, scared, like all the above. I drove there. I even brought like my notebook full of notes with me. I was reading notes like 5 minutes before I was freaking going into there. Don't do that. Don't do that. I feel like it just kind of freaked me out even more than what I was, because I'm like, oh my god, like I don't know anything. I'm going to fail. I'm not going to pass. That was my mindset, and I should have never went in with that mindset. Because if you're thinking, I can't do it, I can't pass, this is too hard, this is crazy, it's too much, what do you think you're gonna do? You're not gonna pass. You're just gonna freak yourself out. And that's what I did. The whole entire time I took my test, I was freaking out. And I couldn't focus, to the point like, I'm trying to read the questions, but all I'm thinking about is like, you're not gonna do it, you can't. Like, it was a lot. My test anxiety is so bad, I just could not focus. And so another mistake I had was, I was like listening to everybody else and from school, because we had a group chat from school and everybody was putting in like, oh, I took my test, I did this, that, the third, and that's it, and I passed in 75, and I passed in blah 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 and blah blah blah. And so, you know, you kind of go in there with the mindset of, yeah, I'm gonna get 75 questions and that's it, I'm gonna go. Well, newsflash, you can get up to 145 questions. Not being said that you can't pass with 145 questions, but don't go in there thinking I'm only gonna get 75 in minimal multiple choice, and minimal select auto apply, and I got this. Because girl, I went in there, I got all 145 questions. I had so many select all that apply, and my brain was shot. I couldn't believe it. So I'm taking the test, and it just feels like it's taking me forever to get through everything. And so I get to 75, I'm like, okay, that's it, I'm gonna get out of here. It goes to 76. As soon as it goes to 76, I just like completely shut down, and that just made it even worse. At this point, you know, I'm like, fuck, I'm like, I failed. I'm like, I know I failed. And it just kind of, it depleted any confidence I have left in completing that test. And so, you know, I continued on, it got to 80, it got to 90, it got to 100, and every time it just kept going up, my confidence kept going down and down and down, and then to the point where I was just kind of guessing on the questions. I wasn't even really using my brain, because like nothing was working. And so I pretty much guessed and got to 145, finished the test, and I did not feel good about it at all. I walked out of there knowing that I failed the test, and I had a little bit of hope, you know, just a tiny bit of hope that I passed, but like I knew. And I did the Pearson VUE trick, you know, where you go in and you try to sign up for the test again, but you put in the wrong card information. If you don't know the trick, there are other videos on YouTube, they'll show you the trick. So I went home. Actually no, I did the trick in my car. Did the trick in my car, and I got the bad pop-up. My heart broke, my heart sank, all the above. It was a terrible feeling. A terrible feeling. Probably one of the worst feelings I've ever felt ever in my life. I was just so disappointed, and I still had a little tiny bit of hope. You know, because some people say, oh, I got the bad pop-up, but I still passed. So, you know, I waited like another like 24 hours or something. Then I went and checked like my test results, and they said fail. Again, heartbroken, heart into pieces, just everything, all the above. I'm actually surprised that I didn't cry, because I'm a huge crybaby. But I didn't cry because I think I was just more so, just so disappointed and Like I knew I could do better. I knew I could have passed if my mindset was right. So, you know, I was sad probably for like 2 days, and then I was like, you gotta pull yourself together, because you can take it again and you can pass. This is just a minor setback, and that's okay. Everyone does not pass on their first time. I know people who have taken the test multiples of times. It's okay, you can do it. And you know, I was talking to the nurses that I work with, because I'm a tech at the hospital, so I was talking to nurses that I work with, and a lot of them didn't pass on their first time, and they're amazing nurses. Like some of my favorite people. So it just kind of like, I don't know, it just kind of, when you know that other people are going through the same situation or have been through it, and they got through it and look where they are now, it just kind of helps you feel a little better. And so I watched a lot of YouTube about like what people did and to be able to pass their second time. There were 2 videos that I watched. I forget the names of the girls because I just freaking watched so many, but there was one girl, she mentioned that she had used a resource called Archer. Now Archer, way less expensive than UWorld. I think for the question bank it's only like $30 or something, but then you can also pay for like a rapid review, which gives you a whole bunch of content, so you can go over content as well if you feel like you need to, or you can just do the questions. And I was not paying for UWorld again because it was just too expensive. I didn't want to waste my money on it. I already had to pay to retake the test again, had to pay to retake the test again, had to pay to reapply for my license, and all that. So no, UWorld was not it. Archer, yes. And there was another girl that I watched, and she was just talking about her mental state as well, and I felt like that is where I needed to focus on too. So I took some time off. I took some time off after the test, because you know, you have to wait like 45 days before you're able to test again. So for like the first 2 weeks or something, I took that time off and I just relaxed. I went on a vacation. I was just chilling. I was just, you know, trying to just be calm and just have a little bit of fun before I started studying again, because I knew when I started to study again that I was going to go so hard that I was going to have no time for like much else besides studying. With that being said, I did still have time left in my UWorld Q Bank, so I did still do questions from that for the first 2 weeks, just so I wasn't completely like not doing anything. So I did that, and then when it came to also for that, no, okay, whatever. So when it came down to like 30 days or a little over 30 days, I had a plan that I put in place, and I was going to stick by that plan no matter what. You know, sometimes you have to just sacrifice a little bit amount of time for a bigger picture, and I understood that, and that's what I was going to do because I was going to accomplish this goal. So my plan for the 30 days was I was going to buy Archer, which I did, and I was going to do minimum 75 questions every day, like every day, because I think I like divvied up, and it was like if I did like 60 something questions, if I did 60 something, oops, hold on, I need this. If I did 60 something questions per day, then I would like get through all of the questions in the Q Bank, and I wanted to do that. So I did minimum 75. And even on the weekend, you know, it if I had, you know, just even on the weekend, okay, I was doing practice questions, I was studying just so everything would just be constantly, you know, in my mind. There would be no time that I would be forgetting something or anything like that. So Archer, Q Bank, minimum 75 a day. Sometimes I did do over that. Sometimes I was doing 100+ questions a day, because I work night shift, and night shift gets a little boring. So on my downtime, I did practice questions. I did listen to Mark K lectures again, but this time I listened to them multiple times, and I was listening to them in the shower, I was listening to them as I was getting ready to go anywhere, I was listening to them falling asleep, like I listened to them as I was cleaning, I listened to them doing absolutely anything. And I'm a big music listener, so trying not to listen to music while you're getting ready or doing stuff like that was kind of hard for me, but I will say that it helped me so much, because in my test I just had Mark K playing in my head, so it worked out for me and it helped the information stick with me. So yep, Mark K again, but I listened to the lectures way more than I was, and I still had my notes from the previous time that I listened to the lectures, so I would read the notes as I was doing it, or just have the lecture playing in the background as I was doing something, and I would go over my notes here and there. And for the last like week or so before my test, I went over my notes every day. Every day I went over the notes, I was doing questions, and I was taking assessments. Now in the beginning, you can take as many assessments as you like in Archer, and they have it's called, like, they have the CAT exam, so it's like a mirrored example of like the NCLEX, where like it's testing you like how NCLEX tests you, not by like a percentage, but like pass or fail, and it's going like based on how you're answering the questions previously. And I passed that. I only took one of those, and I passed that one, and the rest of them I was doing they were called readiness assessments. So it does give you a percentage, but it also gives you like if you did borderline, high, or really high, something like that. And they say that if you get 4 consecutive highs or very highs, that you have a 99% passing, you have a 99% chance of passing the NCLEX. So I was doing those, and for my first 3 that I did get borderline first, and then I did highs, and then a very high. That was in the beginning and in the middle of me doing the practice questions and the studying and this and that. And then when it got to the end of me doing practice questions, I was doing the assessments, and I kept getting borderline, and so that kind of freaked me out. But I also knew that I was getting borderline because I was also getting more nervous than what I was also getting more nervous than I have been with just like, you know, going with the flow, knowing that I had time until the exam. And then I just kind of felt like, wow, my exam's coming up pretty fast. My exam's like in a week, and I'm getting borderline. And I'm like, I was doing so good. And in my mind, I just kind of knew, like, okay, Janasia, you're just getting nervous again. You just need to relax and take a second and breathe, because you can do it. You've been getting high and very highs. Don't let the borderline knock you off your pedestal, you know? So I just kept doing practice questions, and I didn't let the borderline affect me, although it did make me nervous a little bit. I didn't let it affect me too much. I just kept doing the practice questions, kept trying to calm myself down. Now for the mental health part, I switched up like everything. So along with listening to like the Mark K lectures, I'd be listening to like motivational talks, or I'd be listening to affirmations, and I would say those affirmations, and it just helped me put myself in a better mindset, you know, because I'm saying these affirmations out loud. I'm speaking things into existence. Like, I know these things are possible for me. I know I'm able to do this. Like, there's no reason I can't do this. I can do anything. So I was putting myself in that mindset. And then along with the affirmations or the motivational talks, I was praying. I prayed every day. I prayed when I went to bed. I prayed when I woke up. I prayed when I was studying. I just prayed. Left it to God. So that helped me a lot as well. And then along, I think like the night before my NCLEX, I actually have it in my notebook somewhere. My notebook's in the car. But the night before my NCLEX, I was doing practice questions and, you know, watching TikToks of NCLEX stuff, and I took a moment to just breathe. I took a moment to kind of like meditate. I took a moment to just think and write down these affirmations. And some of the affirmations that I wrote down were like, I can do this, I will do this, I will pass the NCLEX, I am already a nurse, I am a nurse. And it's true, you are a nurse. You're just taking this test to prove that you are. Because you got through school, you did it all. You're a nurse. Just take the test, get it out the way, so you can go and be that nurse that you want to be. And so that's what it was. I did those affirmations and I woke up the next day. My test was an afternoon test, so I made sure that I got some sleep, but I did wake up a little earlier, just so I can mentally prepare myself. So I did listen to a few, I forget what lecture I listened to. I think I listened to probably a little bit of a Mark K lecture, and then another lecture of like a 1 hour rapid NCLEX prep thing. So I did that, and I didn't do any practice questions in the morning, but I did like go on TikTok, and I'll have to find the lady's page, but there's like a page where she goes over practice questions, and it's just really helpful. So it's kind of just put myself in that state of like, I'm going to take this test, this is what it's going to be, and you can do it. And so I did. I got to the testing location, I went in. My anxiety wasn't so high because I kind of knew what to expect already. I was still a little nervous, but not as nervous as before, because like I said, I just kind of put myself in that mental state like, you're gonna pass, you can do this. There's no reason to be nervous, because you can always take it again. That's fine. No one cares how many times you took the NCLEX. No one's going to ask you how many times you took it. No one's gonna be like, oh, you took it 3 times, sorry, like we can't hire you. No one cares. And so I went in there, you know, I sat down to take my test, and before I even started, I closed my eyes for a little bit and I prayed. And I just told myself those affirmations again. I even wrote it down. They give you like a, it's not a piece of paper, it's kind of like a little whiteboard with a marker. And so you can write down whatever you need to write down. And so the first thing I wrote, I was just like, I can do this. Like, I will pass. And so with that, I started my test. And I got through the test. And as I'm going through the test, I took breaks. I took a lot of breaks. I'd probably do like 25 questions and then like pause for a little bit. Just breathe, let my brain breathe a little. And also that's how I studied. I didn't do a lot of 100 questions in bulk sitting down at one time, or 75 in bulk. I did them like 25, maybe 50, and then I did 75 here and there, just so I can get my whole mind and body into that state of like, okay, this is what the testing is going to be like. You're going to be sitting for a while. But I did do like 25 a lot, just because I feel like sometimes doing it in bulk can kind of cloud your judgment a little. Like, you need to take a break, step back, and really think. So that's what I did. The first time I took the test, they give you a break after like 2 hours. I did not take that break. I kept going through the whole time. Huge mistake. take your breaks, take a second to breathe and relax. I cannot emphasize this enough. Breathe and relax. So I went through my test, you know, doing like every 25 or like every 10, take a break, relax. And I was taking my exam when I got to question 75, and I thought to myself, I was like, okay, Janasia, if it goes over to 76, do not freak out. Like, you can still pass. No matter how many questions you get, you have the ability to still pass. So after my 75th question, I clicked next and it went to 76. And I'll admit, I did get scared a tiny bit, but as soon as I did, I was like, girl, relax. Like, don't do what you did last time, because we're not doing this again. I don't want to do this again. We're not doing this again. We're passing this time. So my exam kept going on, and I did the whole 145 questions again. But this time I did take my break. After 2 hours you get a break. I took my break, I went to the bathroom and just, you know, cleared my head a little. Then I went back and took the exam, finished it out, got all 145. I believe I had like 45 to 50 select all that apply questions, and those are my weakest, along with farm. Farm and select all apply, girl, maybe choking me up. Every time I got a select all that apply question, I did freak out a little, because I am highly known for either missing one or picking one too many, and then so you get the whole question wrong. So I did the best that I could and ended up okay. So but yeah, I kept track of how many select all apply that I got, because listen, I didn't know how many I got the first time, but I felt like it was a lot. And I know some people, they'd be like, oh, I only had like 25, 35 and blah 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 blah. So I want to keep track of how many I had, just so I know. So out of 145 questions, about like 45 plus of them were select all that apply. And so I got to the end of my exam, and I didn't felt like how I felt the first time. I was very calm. Surprisingly, I didn't feel the need to hurry up and check the person view trick. I didn't feel like I had failed, but I didn't know for sure if I had passed. Like, I definitely felt like I knew more information on the exam, but I was still nervous, because you know, you just never freaking know. The questions are just so, I don't know, you just never know with NCLEX. So I left my testing center. I like went and ran a little errands, and then I went home and I checked like the Pearson VUE trick, and this time when I did it, I got the good pop-up, and I kind of freaked out a little. I was like, wait a minute, like, did I just do this? And yeah, I was kind of shook. I was like, I think that I passed. I think that I actually did this. And so I waited, you know, I was just relaxing. I was watching Netflix, I was chilling, went to bed, woke up the next day, and when I woke up the next day, I checked the MQA, like where it tells you test results and all that stuff. So I went and I was like, tell me my test results, and I opened it and it said pass. It said pass, and like I kind of couldn't believe it, and still I'm kind of shocked that I did it. Yeah, I'm still kind of shocked that I did that, but I passed, and I am now officially Nasia Jones RN. I will say this, in the nursing world, there's like this superstition. If you tell somebody your testing date, you will not pass, so you just keep it to yourself. And I feel like that kind of goes hand in hand with like not telling anybody what you have planned, so they don't talk down about it or wish bad upon you. You know, people be having that evil eye thing, and I feel like that just goes hand in hand with that. You don't want to speak about what you're doing until you actually do it. So the first time I took my exam, people knew that my test exam date was close, and I believe I told my boyfriend that I was taking my exam, and I think my grandma and my mom knew. Not saying that they wished bad upon me or anything like that, but just speaking on the superstition, like, yeah. And so the next time I took the test, I didn't tell anybody what I was doing. I didn't tell anybody where I was going. Like, I got dressed the next day and I left my house, and everyone's like, well, where are you going? I was like, I'm going to run errands. Don't talk to me. So I wanted to go take the test. Obviously I shut my phone off, so no one was able to see my location or where I was at. They're calling me, can't answer the phone. So when I came out of there, everyone's just like, where were you? What were you doing? And I didn't want to say anything, because if I had failed, I didn't want to tell anybody that I failed again. Like, I was just gonna keep it to myself and move on in silence and take it again in silence. So eventually I had to tell them, like, you know, I went to go take my exam, but I didn't tell them till like after I did the Pearson View trick, because by then I had like a little bit of confidence, like, okay, I think I passed, so I'll tell them. But with that being said, whether you tell people or don't tell people, it's your choice. But I just waited this time until after, just so I can be 100% positive. Because, you know, telling people that you failed doesn't feel good. It just kind of adds to the broken heart. So now that I have officially passed and I'm officially an RN, I do start my nursing job really soon. So I will be doing more of these Nurse Nation videos. I am going to vlog my whole like learning process, the whole like orientation and everything like that. I just want to take you guys along, but I also want to keep it for like my own documentation of where I started and where I'm gonna end up, because I like to watch things like that, especially like of my own process, because going through nursing school was so hard. Sometimes you feel like you can't do it, you know, or you want to quit. And because I wanted to quit so many times, I cried a lot in nursing school, and to just see myself where I am right now today, everything was worth it because of how I feel right now. Like, it was just worth it, and I'm so excited to see where things are gonna go. And another thing, so when I took my NCLEX the first time, I did have a job offer lined up, which I accepted, and all I had to do was pass the NCLEX, but obviously I failed. That also ended up working in my favor. Since I work in the hospital already, they do, I don't know if they do this everywhere, but they did end up paying me a little more than someone who doesn't have any medical experience. And so when I failed it, I was still working in the hospital, and so they didn't fire me or like tell me I couldn't come or work or anything. They just pushed me to the next cohort, and with that I'm still working in the hospital, so they ended up boosting my pay because I'm still working in the hospital, so that gives me more experience. So it all ended up working out in my favor, because remember that group chat that I was telling you about that I had with the nursing kids that I went to school with? They were all putting like their test results or their job offers and how much they were getting paid and everything. And I'm not gonna put out numbers, but let's just say I'm getting paid quite more than they are starting out. And that's not to brag or anything like that, but just to give you guys like some insight. Like, you don't have to get a job in healthcare, but if you do, it really is helpful. not even just while you're in school, but obviously when you're done. With that being said, everything really does happen for a reason, and what's meant for you will be for you, and your experience is your experience. Your timeline will go to fit with you, you know what I mean? So don't stress over anything too much, because when it's your time, it'll be your time. No one can take that away from you. I hope you guys enjoyed my first NurseNasia video. There will definitely be more of these on the way. You know, comment, like, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon.